Hello, this is Barrett from the C4 Cyber Club here at Cypress College. In this video, I'm going to cover the Lab 8 for the CCNA1 course. This is for the Chapter 8 Skills Test. So pretty straightforward. We'll be completing the following tasks on R1, the router here. So to do that, we will need to launch the CLI, or Command Line Interface, on this device. So everything we'll be doing will be right within this window here. And of course, as always, you want to make sure that we get this completion down in the bottom right-hand corner here at 100%. So let's just go ahead and take this line by line. Okay, so change the host name to R1. So of course, we need to type enable. Right now, we're currently in user exec mode, and we need to move to privilege exec mode. Now we will need to move to configure terminal, global config mode. So I can type config T. And then from here, we can just type in hostname R1. We can see we got 4% completion, so we're on our way. Now to disable DNS lookup, we can just do no IP domain lookup. And now we need to assign class as the privilege exec encrypted password, so we can use enable secret class. And remember that when you set the privilege exec password, by default, it is encrypted. Okay, so it's looking like we will need to configure console port. So first things first, we want to do line console 0 to switch to that interface mode. And now setting synchronous logging, we could do that with simply the command logging synchronous. And essentially what this is doing, it's keeping unsolicited messages and debug output from being interspersed with solicited software outputs and prompts. And now we'll move to config console port, so that it never times out while in privilege exec. So we can just simply type exec timeout and the amount of time. So we want that to be 0. Configure console port with a password of Cisco. So we're still in the console port. We could just type password Cisco. And of course, you always want to tell it to ask for that login, or ask for that password every time it logs in. So we just type in login. Okay, great. We're at 33%. Now we're going to configure the virtual terminals, and we're going to do for 5 lines. So 0 and 4, 0 through 4. We'll type line VTY 0, 4. And we're going to set that password also to Cisco. Password Cisco. And of course, log in to make sure that the router knows to ask for that whenever somebody logs in remotely through Telnet or SSH. All right, so next we need to encrypt all clear text passwords. So we're currently configuring the virtual terminal, so we're going to exit, go back to global config mode, and we could do service password encryption here. Okay, create a banner message. We do that by doing banner MOTD. Then we could use the quotes. Remember that your message has to be in between either quotes like this or some other special character, such as, a hashtag, maybe a caret symbol. And in this case, we'll use a quote. We'll say unauthorized access is prohibited. Close that out with that double quote. And now that's set. Okay, and finally, for these basic configurations, we want to set clock on the router to the specific time. So I think we need to move back to privilege exec mode, but let's see. Show clock. Yes, okay. So to show the clock or to set the clock, you just move back to privilege exec mode. So I'm going to type exit. And you can see we could show the current clock setting. If I type, here we go. You can see it's set to this 1993. Now to change it, we could type clock set and then the current time. So we'll choose what is in the lab here, September 23rd, 2013. And then if we do show clock, you can see that that's set. All right, so now we have two interfaces to configure. So first I will interface with gigabit Ethernet 0/0, so just INT G0/0. Whoops, need to move to global configuration mode first. Config T, then we can do int G0/0. Okay. So for comment, excuse me, use connection to PC/B. We could just say description connection to PC-B. And you don't need quotes here in this. All right, and now we'll need to configure the IP address. So remember that in this line, IP address 192.168.0.1. Now we do need to include the subnet mask. So think back to your subnetting week. We know that this has 24 network bits. And of course, an IP address is broken up into 4 octets. So there's 8 bits each. So if we have 8 plus 8 is 16, plus another 8 is 24, we know that this is the network portion. So in the subnet mask, this should be 0. So we'd be looking at a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Okay. And we want to remember to bring that interface up. So we type in no shutdown. And we'll go ahead and do the same with int G0/1. Description. We'll be doing connection to S1 here. And very similar with the IP address. The subnet mask is the same. The IP address 192.168.1.1 followed by 255.255.255.0. And we could type no shut to bring the interface up. And now you see we are at completion 100%. Great, so I'm going to close this and we can do a quick test connectivity. We could just select a simple PDU right here. We could choose PCA over to PCB and pull up the PDU list here. Okay, so we got a fail there. Let's try that one. Another fail. The lab says you may need to try it a few times. There we go. We have a success there. Yeah, that is the lab. It's pretty straightforward. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions on a particular section, you could always go back in the video and check that out. Great. Thanks a lot for watching.